Okay, so at this point, we have one, defined what artificial intelligence and generative AI mean. Two, had a very brief background history on the ideas of artificial intelligence and its field of study. And three, explained the key parts of how those LLMs work currently, the most basics of it at least. Now, I would like to focus on the actual data that was used to train these large language model systems. Before I actually begin to discuss the different points that are listed on this slide, please note that a lot of the information regarding the training data used for frontier models like Gemini or ChatGPT are considered trade secrets or intellectual property. The training data we are aware of is based on open models and copyright lawsuits. Here is what we do know. The majority of training data used for LLM models is from the internet, and we can break these data sets into different groups. The largest group, and the one people are probably thinking of when people say the whole internet, is Common Crawl. Common Crawl is a massive publicly available archive of websites scraped by people and bots. It is basically the screenshots of every and any indexed web page on the internet, and it documents the written and visual content on the sites. The next data set is what can be called the curated web. The curated web is just data sets of various websites that can be considered cleaner data, as it is moderated in some way. This contains more quote-unquote reliable information that is commercial or educational in purpose. This includes Creative Commons licensed materials, copyleft materials, and corporate communications, like from Enron, as well as Reddit forums. This information in these data sets are usually publicly available. Publicly does not mean that it is not free from copyright, but that it was just available for them to scrape, kind of like Common Crawl. Code is heavily used as training data and is usually from sources like GitHub, Substacks, and other coding repository websites. Stuff that they actually had to pay for is the license content. This is proprietary data that is acquired through paid agreements. Wikipedia, newspapers, social media companies, and book publishers have created license agreements with generative AI companies to be compensated for their work being ingested. One of the more basic data sets is synthetic data, which is content that is AI generated and then ingested once again into the AI model. Wikipedia is its own data set in this video, as it wasn't actually under a license agreement until recently and for a select few companies. Wikipedia and Reddit are some of the larger datasets used for LLM training. Scholarly materials from higher education and research initiatives can be considered their own separate dataset, as it includes materials from license agreements with database vendors or book publishers, as well as pirated materials from the internet. The last dataset I want to mention is the most controversial in the news: books. The books used for training data fall into three categories: illegally pirated online, paid for through license agreements, and physical copies bought in real stores that were then digitized and the physical copies destroyed without knowledge of the authors or publishers. The books used are mainly fiction or stories with smaller portions focused on education or nonfiction. In all, the training data set that we are aware of is heavily based on social media, internet websites, and fiction books. So which data sets could be potential copyright violations? I'm going to premise this with I'm not a lawyer, and I'm just basing this off of the readings that I have gone through when it comes to training data and copyright related to large language models. But there are a lot of potential maybes when it comes to copyright violations within the training data sets known. Common Crawl may have copyright infringements included, as it incorporates whatever is available online, regardless of the material's copyright license. The curated web may have copyright infringements included, as open education resources and other Creative Commons or copyleft materials may have been included without attribution or in violation of their license requirements. We already know that some books were illegally pirated for training data, and so AI-generated responses could include copyrighted violations based on this pirated material. The non-pirated books are currently in a legal gray area, as some judges find it to be fair use, while others see it as a copyright infringement. Historically, a lot of code available on the internet is through copyleft licenses, which can require attribution and other agreements to be used. If these license requirements are not being followed, then it could be argued that these datasets are in violation of copyright. Like books, some scholarly materials were pirated illegally while others were required through legal means. Licensed materials would not be at risk of copyright violation, as it was used with the express permission for training. Wikipedia eventually allowed their website to be used for training, but initially the materials were pirated in violation of their Creative Commons licenses. Synthetic data could be at risk of copyright violation if the AI-generated material is too similar to the training data inputs used. So, there are a lot of potentials for copyright infringement, which is why UH requires you to ensure that AI-generated content copied is not in violation of another's work before use. If you still have any questions, WCC Library is here to help. Feel free to reach out to us by email, phone call, text, or chatting online. A librarian will be available to chat with you Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.